They make delicious cakes and treats that are safe, meaning they're allergy friendly. And this is all founded by a food allergy mom. Today, we are thrilled to introduce you to the Whisk and Spoon Bakery Cafe.
This is Charleston Women Podcast, where you can meet like-minded, strong, independent, professional, and inspiring local women. This is Charleston Women Podcast.
And now I'd like to welcome to the Charleston Women Podcast, Debbie Gardiner, who is owner of the Whisk and Spoon Bakery Cafe. Debbie, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Are you going to make us all hungry today as we listen to this podcast?
Most likely, yes.
So tell me a little bit more, first of all, about what it is that you guys offer at Whisk and Spoon Bakery Cafe.
We really offer all sorts of cakes and desserts, different flavors, seasonal flavors. We're more concentrated on weddings and private events right now. So we've been doing some wedding cakes, engagement, dessert tables are very popular still with weddings and other events.
What are the trends right now with wedding cakes? Is there anything that you're seeing over and over again? You also mentioned dessert table. Is that where you have more options than just the cake?
Yes, because, not everyone enjoys cake, which I don't entirely understand.
I don't get it, but go ahead.
People want a variety. And I think it goes back to COVID when, it was really difficult for big gatherings such as weddings and celebratory events. And people were sort of getting away from the big traditional wedding cake and serving that to their guests. And, it became more personalized. So I think a lot of brides are still adhering to that. They're doing smaller cakes, very simplified, using, mainly buttercream and fresh flowers and greenery, just keeping it very natural, very simple. Yeah. And then they're also offering their guests a dessert table, which, different assorted desserts. So there's a variety there. And it's just, kind of like a pick up and go back to the dance floor.
Yeah. How fun is that? I love that you have the Charleston Women magazine framed behind you. And it says sweet and safe because that's your thing, correct? You are a food allergy mom. Is that, let's go back to the beginning. Is that what made you want to start this business, to have, different options for people?
It really is. I mean, that's probably our core, value with Whisk and Spoon. My business partner, Adrienne, her daughter had a peanut allergy. She thankfully has outgrown it. My son was diagnosed with several severe food allergies when he was 2. He's 13 now. So I've been dealing with this as his mom, a food allergy parent, for quite some time. And I really started baking for him, being a kid, getting invited to birthday parties, friends' houses. It hurts your heart when they can't, have something simple as a birthday cake. His doctor told us, avoid bakeries at all costs. So that's how I really started it, just advocating for him. And during COVID, I unfortunately was let go from my job, from my career. So this was back in New York, where I'm from. And I, like everyone else.
Were you living in New York at the time during COVID?
I was, yes. I'm from Long Island originally. Moved down here about a little over 2 years ago. And my friends' encouragement, they're like, your stuff is so amazing. You should offer it and start a little business. So I started it up there, had a following. I know as a food allergy parent, how difficult it is, how frustrating it can be. So I definitely saw a need for it.
So this is so fascinating to me. So sadly, you lost your job in New York, but I'm sure now you might say it was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Probably.
So you took the leap, you opened your business in New York. Were you just working like out of your home kitchen at the point, making stuff for people?
I was a cottage baker out of my home and had a little bit of a following. I had other nut allergy moms because we're really peanut and tree nut free right now. Haven't delved into, catering to the other allergies yet. That's something to think about for the future. So yeah, I had a little bit of a following there, and I, took a leap, and New York became a little expensive. So my son was at this transition point, going into middle school, and with the housing market booming and still being unemployed, I took a chance and moved down to Charleston.
Wow. So, had you been to Charleston before? I'm always curious how people.
I have not really.
Really?
My former boss actually lives here, and I reached back out to him. And, a lot of people that I used to work with at the company I was at were moving down here. Okay. So I was like, what's going on with Charleston?
Yeah.
So I came down to visit and stay with him and his wife. They were very gracious and to let Justin and I stay with them. And I just thought, why not? And they encouraged me, to move forward with the bakery. Yeah. And then I met, some friends here, and they encouraged me as well. So.
Yeah.
Be part of the conversation surrounding Mount Pleasant. Sponsor the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Podcast marketing is the new, powerful way to brand your business and reach your customers. For more information, visit carolinapodcasts.com or call 843-345-7012.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Do you have any formal training in the kitchen?
I don't.
That makes this story even better. I love it. What did you do before? What was your pre-bakery career? I'm curious.
I went to art school. I have a degree.
So that's a creative vein. I gotcha. Okay.
Yes, definitely creative. I was working for a gift company. I was designing Christmas ornaments for years. First I was doing children's furniture, and we got into the ornament business, and I did that for a very long time. So the baking, especially decorating cakes and cupcakes, making things look beautiful. It's just a different avenue of my design experience.
Yeah. So how did you get good at baking? I mean, was this something you were always good at and you just refined?
It's funny because my dad went to culinary school.
Okay. Again, it's in you. There's a thread.
I think it's in the blood for sure. Yeah. He definitely preferred baking over cooking.
Okay.
And he used to work for, Entenmann's Bakery. There's a plant in Long Island.
Yeah.
So I think growing up with that, having my dad cook and he didn't actually bake at Entenmann's, but, being, hearing stories and, I guess it just resonated.
Yeah. So how do you go from taking the leap, starting your business in New York, to then bringing it to Charleston? Like, how do you, from a business standpoint, create a following and find the customers here? Because, it's fresh territory for you. You didn't know anyone, right?
And it has been quite a journey, making that leap, making that big move. It's still a new business. We're only about a year old. So getting our name out there on social media, belonging to different community groups on Facebook or Instagram is helpful. Just getting our name out there and letting people know what we're capable of and what we offer.
And that's why we're happy to have you on this podcast, so people can learn more about you. You mentioned social media. You are at Whisk and Spoon Bakery Cafe. That's both Facebook and Instagram. You said people can place an order on social. They can go to your website, right? And you now have a commercial kitchen in Charleston, which is exciting. It's a whole new level, right?
It is. It's very different than baking from home, for sure.
Yeah. So if I am going to try Whisk and Spoon for the first time, what do you recommend? Like, what is your hottest, most popular item that we all need to get?
I knew you were going to ask me that. Hands down, it has to be my lemon blueberry cake. I'm a chocolate girl.
I love lemon. I love chocolate too, but I really love lemon.
It's just, I don't know it's just so popular. It was popular back in New York. I have friends that still ask me about it, still crave it, I guess.
Yeah.
They probably miss the cake more than me, maybe. And I've done a couple of wedding cakes or, with lemon blueberry. So I think, and I can make a cupcake version if you're interested.
Okay. I love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
As we approach the holiday season, I'm sure a lot of us are trying to take something off of our plate. And wouldn't it be lovely to have some of your tasty treats at holiday parties?
Mhm.
If someone wants to call and book something, what's your runway, if you will? How soon should we do that as we approach, Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Well, with the holidays, of course, it's a busy time for everyone. Right. I think it depends what the product is that they're looking for. If it's something simple like cupcakes, I could do that. And if my schedule allows it, I could do that, in a day or two.
Okay.
But if it's anything, like a dessert table or an assortment of things,
Right.
I would say about, a week to 2 weeks.
That's more work.
Mhm.
Are you ever going to go back to corporate?
I don't know.
Question. I'm curious,
You really never know
never
what
know.
life is going to give you. I've certainly had some pretty intense life experiences over the past couple of years. And I really enjoy doing this for myself.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to all the women listening to this podcast or maybe watching it? I feel like we have a lot of entrepreneurs. I also feel like we have a lot of women that might relate to your story, that have been doing something for a long time, whether or not they're forced out of a job or lose a job, but they're just ready to make that shift.
Right.
And it's a scary time. What words of encouragement would you give to someone who is ready to kind of like change directions?
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it goes back to you never know what the future is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an idea in your mind and you have the support, I say try it. Yeah. If it fails, it's okay.
Yeah.
Something else will come along. Mm-hmm. If it's successful, that's amazing. Yeah. But if you don't take the chance to do something that you really that can't leave your mind or is in your heart, you have to go for it. Right. And you just learn along the way. You're never going to be ready. You just have to do something and go with it and learn as you go.
That's such great advice. And I think it's interesting too. I think a lot of people, we put up like mental roadblocks. Like had you said, like, I couldn't do this because I'm not a professionally trained baker. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure I'm probably one of the only people that's ever asked you, are you a trained baker? Right? Because your customers don't care. Right. And I think that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I think it's wonderful that you're not, and that you've created this thriving business.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I've never had anyone ask me that.
Glad I could be the first.
You're the first.
I do it so you can be inspirational to others that, just because you, I don't know, didn't go to college or something or haven't done it before doesn't mean you can't by any means.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I always like asking people, Debbie, what is your morning routine? Because I find it fascinating when I meet successful entrepreneurs like yourself. Some people wake up really early, some people sleep in, some people work out. Like, do you have anything that sets you up for a successful day that you're willing to share with our audience?
I'm a solo parent with a 13-year-old. So I get up pretty early in the morning and get myself together before, getting him going for the day. Iced coffee helps. For sure. Because of the things that I've been through the last few years, I started having more gratitude. Even though, I may not be exactly in the place that I feel I should be in, at least I'm here. And I, chip away. I do, things for the business and things for myself a little bit each day. Right. So I wake up, in my mind or maybe, verbally, and I say, thank you. That. I'm here. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for my son, and just having that gratitude,
I think that's great to wake up and to say out loud, or at least to yourself, thank you as you start your day. I do have to ask before we go, do you eat sweet treats all day? Like, how do you look so good? For those of you not watching, like, super cute, not 500 pounds. So when you're baking all day, do you find that you don't crave it, or do you allow yourself like a little bite here and there? Like, well,
I do have to taste test. Yeah, that's for sure. I do taste test. I don't, I don't eat everything that I make. Okay. I have my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I do eat.
Does your son, do his friends love coming over because you've got like treats around?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, Justin definitely has his favorites of mine. But
we all know teens can be finicky. Like, what a favorite is today is probably going to change tomorrow.
Exactly. His taste change, on top of the allergies, he's very picky. So you never know what you're going to get.
That's so good. Debbie, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm going to say it again. People can follow you at Whisk. Oh, I pulled it up at Whisk and Spoon Bakery Cafe on Facebook and Instagram. They can also go to your website, whiskandspoonbakerycafe.com. Is there anything else that I left out that you would like to add today?
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Erin.
Debbie, thank you so much for joining us today. And this has been the Charleston Women Podcast.
Thanks for spending time with Charleston Women Podcast. Please like us and follow us on whatever platform you're using to access Charleston Women Podcast.